What's going on, Jeromes? Beautiful day for some Q&A, baby. Thank you, everyone who submitted questions on the community tab. Fired up. First up is Kirk Lair. Do you think Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi adofo-mensah are taking the fact that we played easier opponents into account when assessing Darnold's success? I honestly think JJ would have won 14 games, if not more, this year as a rookie as well. Yes, he had a fantastic 5-6 game run, but you can tell his processing is slow on a team where he has 4 or 5 good or great targets. Can't make those reads fast enough, skipping guys wide open, being a throw late, yada. So I do think that maybe it's taken into account, but I think overall, like the larger picture is, do the Vikings think that they can win a Super Bowl with Sam Darnold? Right, and Darnold balled out. Basically after the Jaguars game up through the Packers game, he played like a top 5 quarterback. The numbers back that up, and just eyeball tests. Like Sam Darnold was absolute. Like when the end of the Falcons game, everything was about Kirk Cousins, but Sam Darnold was just on a heater. Right, and he was going heat check like every single pass. He wanted to be a 50-yard touchdown to Jefferson or Addison, and it was amazing. Right, that's high level, high caliber play against a pretty decent defense. Now, I think the decision will come down to, do they think that Darnold can take this to the next level? Also, they have to factor in, if they give Darnold the big time contract, a lot of the weapons around him are going to, don't want to say erode, but there's going to be less money available, less resources available to have this team around him, right? So basically, could you take Darnold and strip away some of the assets, and can he be that guy that elevates? I'm not sure. Like, Darnold obviously played very well this year, but I do think that in large part he was a product of his environment, right? So I think that's where the Vikings are deciding things, and it's sort of like a truncated version of a starting quarterback on his rookie deal. So we talked about this. Starting quarterback on his rookie deal, small cap hit, and then you build a team around him. Eventually, he has to grow into a quarterback if he's going to get the big-time contract, that he can make those around him better, since there will be limited resources to pay players around him. And Darnold basically has to do that all in 1 year. Right? Last year was his rookie deal. Now they're going to pay him. Can he do that? I don't think that he can. I think that, well, for a stretch, it looked like he was a quarterback that you could win a Super Bowl because of. I think that you can win a Super Bowl with him, but he's going to be a cog in the machine as opposed to being the driving force of the machine. I don't know. I got lost in that one. Next up, Ray Petty, OG Jerome. Unless I'm missing something, why isn't Kwesi adofo-mensah signed an extension as general manager while Kevin O'Connell has? So it basically comes down to ownership wanting to wait till the end of the seasons for both of them, right? And we say seasons plural because as a head coach, your season is the football season. But as an executive, as a GM, your season is the off season, right? So, Kwesi obviously making moves in season, practice squad, training for Cam Robinson, all that stuff. That's important, and also getting your ass to college football games and scouting in person. But overall, like a general manager's off season is his season. Free agency, roster construction, the draft, etc. So I could see them wanting to wait and see what happens at the end of Kwesi's season, which is the off season, to see to assess and then give him an extension. I think that it will get done, but I do understand why they weren't synced up at the same time. Yeah, even though you've seen other GMs and coaches do that, it's like the Vikings. They want to see how things fared this year with Kevin O'Connell, and they want to see how Kwesi does this off season before signing him up long term. Next, JP Pereros. How many future picks plus Darnold would be enough to get Garrett, and how many would be too many? I say Darnold plus this year's 4th and next year's 1st and 3rd. Well, there's not going to be a shortage of suitors, and so that's the problem that's going to drive up the price. You look at Buffalo, late first-round picks. You look at the Eagles, Imagine if the Eagles win the Super Bowl on Sunday and they get Myles Garrett. It'd be such a Howie Roseman move, right? So for the Vikings, like if the Browns are interested in a tag and trade of Darnold, Darnold would have to want to go there. Otherwise, the whole proposition's sort of moot. But go there, sign a long-term deal. They will get their replacement for Watson and go from there. But that obviously that would have value. I don't think it would exclude them from having a first-round pick. Honestly, if it was a Darnold plus Van Ginkel plus a first-round pick, I think they could have that conversation. I know that the Browns would likely push for a Darnold plus Dallas Turner situation, since they want to swap out, get younger as an edge rusher. But I think since the Vikings gave up so much with Turner, and also he's got so much promise here, specifically in this Flores defense, I don't know if they want to give him up. And Myles Garrett, I know that people will say, well, not a scheme fit. You adjust your scheme for a guy like Myles Garrett. Well, what about Danielle Hunter? Myles Garrett's better than Danielle Hunter. And I say that as one of the largest Danielle Hunter fans in the world. Like, Myles Garrett is a straight-up game wrecker. Right? And you would consider it, but I think the Vikings will be priced out of it at the end of the day. Right? Next. Viking Jeff, are there any football-related shows you have to force yourself to watch only because you need info for your show? So we got a picture of this from Hard Knocks, St. Louis Rams 2016. Case Keenum's wife, Kimberly, my wife. So I really love Hard Knocks. Hard Knocks is fantastic because I love the backstory of some of the players on the roster, football journeys, and generally, especially if it's Hard Knocks, the traditional Hard Knocks training camp, it's a lot of bottom of the roster guys trying to realize a dream. But the 2016 season with the Rams, it covered Jeff Fisher, it covered him getting fired, it covered John Bones Fossil stepping up being the guy, it covered Jared Goff being the number 1 overall pick, Case Keenum starting over him, and then eventually giving way to Goof, and also it covered them hiring Sean McVay as the youngest head coach in NFL history. And even before Keenum, like, Hard Knocks 2016 with the Rams is one of the reasons why I wanted Keenum as a backup for the Vikings, because I thought that he was great. He handled himself great in the quarterback room. I thought that he was not like a per se mentor, 1-for-1 with Jared Goff, but also he wasn't like, you're trying to take my job. I thought that he was a good dude and a good teammate and someone that you would love to have in that quarterback room. And that's why I was ecstatic when the Vikings signed Keenum for a 1-year, $2 million deal. And then 2017 Case Keenum went down too. Plus, so randomly just, when we're working the off season, we'll just put on like one of the old seasons of Hard Knocks. And then, or what, it wasn't Hard Knocks? No, it was All or Nothing. Nailed it. Yeah, so just completely place span. So it was All or Nothing 2016 Rams. Nailed it. And it was also nothing. All right, but at the end, it was fun to see. Oh, Case Keenum signed a free agent deal with the Vikings. Let's see how that pans out. Yeah, it panned out pretty well, right? So I like more like the NFL film stuff, the backstories, the Hard Knocks, the All or Nothings. It's really good. I don't watch like First Take or anything like that. I'll put on Good Morning Football unless something annoying happened with the Vikings, and I just don't want to hear it. Right. But other than that, like, don't really like dive into like the network stuff mainly because I want my own original takes from the information. But we'll see. Lastly, Chase Essex, which current Vikings player would you most want to have a beer with? Hottie Ward. Right. Hottie Ward and Jonathan Grenard together, because I think it would be hilarious. Now, I don't know if, I don't know if Jihad Ward drinks, you know what I mean? But I would love to hang out and, just shoot the poop with Hottie Ward. Although, I feel like, all right, so if you're going to drink beer with someone, it's got to be a lineman, right? And offensive line-wise, like Brian O'Neill and Garrett Bradbury, I feel like they could definitely throw a couple down. You know, Bradbury, like a good old boy from the Carolinas, and O'Neill, from Philly, New Jersey area, probably got some Yinglings. That'd be a ton of fun too. So that's basically it. But that's it. Q&A on this beautiful day. You guys are the best. You know what to do. Skull production value.